Ever get that itch?
Yeah.
You know, like you really want to like get a grip on some big, juicy topic, but without like having to crack open a textbook or anything.
Yeah, totally.
That's what we're all about on this show. And today's deep dive is no exception. We're tackling evolution.
Nice.
All sparked by, get this, a video from that science guru, Dhruv Rathee.
Whoa, I like his stuff. He's got a knack for making even the most complicated idea, like, actually understandable.
Right. Like he just gets it.
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, evolution, isn't that a bit, textbooky?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But trust me on this one, folks. This is not your high school biology class, okay? We're here to dig into the really wild stuff. Wait, hold on, is that actually true? Moments.
The stuff that makes you question everything you thought you knew.
Exactly. And Dhruv, man, he is so good at unearthing those mind-blowing nuggets. Like, remember when we first heard about FUCA?
Oh, yeah. FUCA, the first universal common ancestor. Don't tell me you understood that right off the bat.
Not a chance. But when you really break it down, it's like, whoa. This thing wasn't even a cell, right? More like just a bunch of molecules that stumbled onto this whole self-replication thing.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. It really makes you wonder what even counts as life at that point. Like, where do you even draw the line?
It's such a blur, right?
Totally.
We always think of viruses in that, like, gray zone. Are they alive? Are they not?
It's a great analogy because FUCA seems to have existed in a very similar way. This proto-life just messing around with the fundamental building blocks of existence. It's wild.
It reminds us that evolution, like it's not some straight line,
Oh, definitely not.
It's messy, it's experimental. Sometimes it throws you these total curveballs.
Absolutely. And speaking of curveballs, did you see that part where Dhruv talks about how we're all just walking, talking ecosystems?
Wait, what?
Yeah. He mentions that only about 43% of the human body is made up of actual human cells.
Get out.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? The rest, microbes. Hold on, so you're telling me that I'm basically just a walking apartment complex for bacteria and what else?
Pretty much. We're way more connected to the microbial world than we realize. And that connection runs deep, all the way back to LUCA, the last universal common ancestor.
Right.
Every single living thing on Earth today, from the tiniest bacteria to the biggest blue whale, we all share this common ancestor.
So when we talk about the tree of life, it's not just like some poetic image or anything, right?
Right at all.
It's literally true. Like we all branch out from this single point, this LUCA.
Exactly. And understanding that interconnectedness, that shared heritage, it's like the key to grasping the full scope of evolution. It's not just about competition and survival of the fittest. It's about cooperation, symbiosis, all these incredible ways that life has found to diversify and intertwine over billions of years.
Right. And it's mind-blowing to think about that journey, right? It really is like mind-blowing when you think about it, from these single-celled organisms to, well, us. It's amazing.
It really is.
And Dhruv does this really cool thing in the video where he like walks us through some of those big evolutionary moments.
Yeah, the milestones.
Exactly. We're talking like the first multicellular life vertebrates.
A whole shebang.
Right. It's like watching that tree of life like branch out in fast forward.
And just like any good family tree, there are always some surprises along the way.
Oh, for sure.
One of the examples that Dhruv brings up, and it's one that always gets me, is Tiktaalik rosé.
Tiktaalik, yeah. Talk about a transitional fossil. It's like, picture this. A fish decides to grow some legs.
Out of nowhere.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to check out what's happening on land now.
Exactly.
That image of it like pushing itself out of the water, it's so iconic.
It really is, and it's incredible evidence for that transition from water to land. And it really shows how evolution often works by tinkering with structures that already exist.
Totally.
It adapts them for new purposes.
Like, how can I repurpose these fins,
Exactly. In this case, those fins, they slowly morphed into legs that could hold weight, help it move around on land.
It's like evolution is an engineer sometimes.
Totally.
But sometimes, and maybe this is just me, it feels like evolution throws in a curveball just to keep things interesting.
I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment. And a few things highlight this better than the fact that whales,
oh yeah,
those kings and queens of the ocean, are more closely related to, ready for this, cows than they are to fish.
It blows my mind every time. Cows. Of all the animals, cows. You'd think they'd be closer to, like, I don't know, sharks or something. But cows, it really makes you question everything.
It really underscores the point that evolution isn't a straight line. It's more like a dance floor.
A dance floor.
Yeah. Species branching off, doing their own thing, sometimes coming back together in the most unexpected ways.
That's wild. So we're like zooming through evolutionary history here, right? And we eventually hit the mammals,
Right.
and Dhruv breaks them down into these three groups: monotremes, marsupials, and placentals.
The three main branches of the mammal family tree.
And I have to admit, when he started talking about monotremes, I was like, wait, hold up, remind me what those are again?
Oh, yeah. Monotremes are fascinating. They're mammals, but they lay eggs.
What? That's wild.
Platypus is like the poster child for monotremes. It's like evolution took some notes from the reptile playbook and decided to keep a few pages.
Platypuses are like the ultimate, believe it or not, animal for sure.
They're amazing. And speaking of incredible evolutionary journeys, Dhruv brings up the extinction of the dinosaurs
Oh, right.
as a pivotal moment for mammals. It was like the dinosaurs cleared the stage and all of a sudden mammals had all this space.
A blank slate.
Exactly. It was open season for them to experiment, diversify.
They really went for it.
They did. And to understand how mammals took advantage of this opportunity, we need to delve into the four forces of evolution: mutation, natural selection, genetic drift, and gene flow.
Right, the A-team of evolution.
Exactly. These forces, acting individually and together, have shaped the remarkable diversity of life that we see today. It's really quite beautiful.
It's wild to think about how these forces, like, actually play out, you know? Even in, like, seemingly isolated communities.
Right.
Like, remember that example Dhruv gave with the Amish communities and how they kind of illustrate genetic drift?
Yeah, it's definitely a sensitive topic.
For sure.
But it really shows how genetic drift can impact real populations, because the Amish community, they came from a pretty small group to begin with, right? And they've stayed relatively isolated.
Right.
So certain genetic traits, they become more common, including some that unfortunately can lead to health issues.
It really makes you think about the importance of a diverse gene pool, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So the more diverse the genes, the more adaptable a population is.
Exactly.
And when you have a smaller group, well, those variations, they get amplified.
Yeah, exactly. For good or for bad.
Right, exactly. It's not always a good thing.
And it shows that evolution, it's not about reaching some kind of perfect form, you know? It's all about change over time.
Right.
Driven by this whole mix of forces. Some predictable, some totally random.
It's amazing how it all works.
But even in the randomness, there's something kind of beautiful about it, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's what lets life just explore every possibility.
Speaking of possibilities,
Right.
that brings us to the real stars of Dhruv's video, primates.
Our very own lineage.
Right. And listen, we could do a whole another deep dive just on the evolution of us, you know, humans.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's so much to unpack there.
But there was this one part in the video, this quote he pulled from the documentary All That Breathes, that really stuck with me.
Which one?
It was about how, let me see if I can get it right.
Take your time.
It was something like, life is a relationship. We are a community of air.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
And it's not just some poetic idea, you know. Evolution has shown us, like, over and over again, that all life on Earth, we're connected.
Right.
We breathe the same air, we depend on the same ecosystems, and we share that common ancestor
Way back when.
way back in the primordial soup.
It's humbling, you know, when you really let that sink in.
It really is.
It makes you see everything differently. Even like,
Yeah.
even the creatures that we find, you know, annoying.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Like Dhruv even brought mosquitoes. And listen,
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but they are not my favorite part of nature.
They're definitely up there.
But they've got a role to play too, right?
Absolutely. Every single creature, no matter how small, no matter how big, has its place in this web of life. And when you understand evolution, it's like you start to appreciate the interconnectedness of it all. It's not just about competition, but it's about cooperation, adaptation.
Oh.
It's about the incredible resilience of life.
So maybe, you know, the next time we're about to swat a mosquito,
Or shoo away a squirrel.
we should take a second, think about how it all fits together. Like Dhruv said, we are a community of air. And that is a pretty remarkable thought to wrap things up with.
It really is.
So until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep diving deep with us into all the wonders that are out there.
And there are a lot of them.
That's for sure. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.